Okay, welcome back guys. So hopefully you've seen by now my two tutorials covering how to drive a Thameslink train hudless between Rainham and Dartford. I thought to help with that further I would do a full run with you and actually commentate it so you can see my thought process. Because although the advice I gave should help, it's not a one size fits all, and you do have to know the route well enough to sort of adjust what you're doing. So the first thing I'll do before anything else is take down the schedule so that I don't have to, so it's really windy in here. Yeah, so I don't have to turn the HUD on throughout. I've already done that for a different service which should maintain the same times. I'll just check that. Let's see. Yeah, that looks all the same. So we'll go safety systems on, master key in, reverse is already neutral, headlights on dipped, cancel AWS, and DRA.
AWS operational.
So as I showed in the tutorial, you'll be looking at this screen quite a lot. This shows your braking effort this way and tractive effort this way. So when I say brake 33%, for example, that's up to this line. You see there are three lines, so 33, 66, and 100. And for power, it's roughly the same. Or exactly the same. Because if I increase the braking power here, you'll see that goes up. Then the same for power, but obviously we can't because door's open. And then I'm also looking at this clock here. So if you have written down the timetable, then you shouldn't need the HUD at all because you can time your departures based on this. So we're leaving at 58, so we have another 50 odd seconds. If you're on console, by the way, the safety systems are here. So you'd want AWS, TPWS, Vigilance, and DSD, I guess. I've never done it through this way, but I imagine that's what you would need. And of course, goes without saying, speedometer is here. You can also see the exact speed in the middle, which is quite helpful. And close doors 10 seconds for departure. Sit into neutral. DRA, I nearly forgot DRA.
Driver, you have reset the DRA. Please check the signal.
So we're 25 miles an hour out of Rainham. Now, one discrepancy I have realised between the tutorial and the southeastern high-speed route is that the installation I used as a visual for increasing to 90 miles an hour isn't actually there. There are a couple of minor things like that on the route, but realistically it's not a big deal. You should be able to judge it fairly easily. That shadow there is quite a good one, I'd say, between those two bushes sticking out. So speed limit's now 90, but we won't really get higher than 65 due to a restriction upcoming. The warning board for the 60 is round here at Twiddle Footbridge. This magnet should give us a warning. Yep, cancel that. It's a fair distance away, so we'll get round this corner and then we'll just brake. Yeah, probably about 5%. Should be enough. I believe the actual restriction is after the next signal. Yeah, we're fine. Yeah, it's after the signal here. So we'll just coast for a little bit. Got Gillingham sidings coming up here. And once we hit this warning board that seems to mean absolutely nothing, we'll get some braking force in, 25 to 30% roughly. Again, it's something you'll need to adjust so as you get a feel for the train and the route. We're trying to be about 45 by Gillingham level crossing. I'm going to ease off a little bit. Good. And then you want to be 30 miles an hour at the beginning of most platforms. Close enough. And as I think I said in the tutorials, it's just experience from here. You just have to know where the marker is and sort of learn how the train behaves. Okay, I need to give it a little bit more brake here. Once you can see it, you can react visually. I could see that I was coming in a bit hot and applied a bit more braking force. Now we're good on the RLU. And that'll do. That's it, we're on time, we're leaving at 04. It's a minute and a half, so I'll probably speed this up. Close doors 10 seconds beforehand, went forward. If you are late, then just ensure that passengers have 30 seconds to board. So just look at what time you arrive and ensure the doors are open for 30 seconds. I tend to wait 25, 26 seconds and then I'll press door close. Yeah, speed limit remains 60, leaving Gillingham. On the Medway Valley line, this will trigger the AWS for the upcoming speed restriction, but on Southeastern High Speed it doesn't. But we have got a 50 and then a 30 coming up, so we won't go too far above 50. We are slightly downhill as well. Let's put the brakes in there a tiny bit, just on the minimum. The restriction is exiting the tunnel for 50. Then you just go down this hill and then we need a little bit more. Just go down this hill when you get the 30. There's the 50, and I'll keep it just above 25% for the 30. Again, that is a general rule. You can adjust it when you see the board. I'm going to give it a little bit more. It's just by the second bridge here on that signal. So yeah, we're good. We'll leave it in a little bit longer because we are downhill. At Chatham, our stopping board is not the one at the end of the platform, it's the one before it. So just be mindful of that as you come in. Yep, it's that one there, the one nearest to us. Give it a little bit more. As a rule, you don't really want to go above 50% braking. I try not to go above the 1/3 marker, but it doesn't matter if you do. I think when it's in ATO, when in the core, in real life, it will brake up to 60, 65%. Nice and early at Chatham, we've got 1 minute and 10. Rochester's quite an easy one. The speed limit remains 30 miles an hour the whole time. So it's a fairly easy one to judge. Nice steam engine coming through there. I need to play that layer. I'm sure many of you will agree my Thameslink obsession is getting out of hand. I need to break away from it. There you go, I'll stop at 28 because we are going downhill. Yeah, what I've got planned is make this video. I'll do the tutorials going the other way, so Dartford, Gravesend and Gravesend Rainham. Then I'll try and branch out a bit, look at some other routes maybe. Although tutorials for High Speed 1 is something I do really want to do. As you can see, I'm keeping the braking 5% for large parts of this because we're downhill at, I believe, 0.8%. Coming through the old Rochester station. I apologise for any background noise you can hear. My window's open because it's 30 degrees and I live on quite a noisy street. Yeah, maintain the 30 into the platform and begin to reduce speed. It's a fairly long platform, this one. You haven't got to go too crazy. And we are stopping at the end. Better ease off a bit. Oh, that'll do. "55 seconds here. Okay, so we're departing Rochester at 30, but then we will reduce to 20 at the end of the bridge, and then 15 round the bend down into Strood. Oh, I got a bit carried away there. That's okay. So I'll start this bridge, put in a little bit of braking force, little bit over the minimum, maybe 10-12%. And that should get you down to 20, or I'll get a little bit more, maybe like 15. There's your 20, just by that signal. It's fine. And then the reduction to 15 is just past this building. Around the Shrewd area you can react to these things visually, because the speeds are so low. The entire station is on a downward gradient, so bear that in mind. We stop at the end of the platform. Slight discrepancy between the game and real life. There is an RLU board, which drivers in real life do use, but the game requires us to go all the way to the end. So I'll get some braking in now. Yeah, there's the RLU there, the pinky purple sign. In real life that's what they use. And for realism, I think the game would be okay if you wanted to stop there. I don't think it would. I don't think it wouldn't count the stop. But it wants you to use this one. A lot of the Thameslink stopping markers are a little bit broken. It is frustrating. Maybe one time just about, we're leaving at 15:30. I won't bother speeding this up. I think in this direction, on South Eastern High Speed, there are 4 mistakes in-game. You've got the mistake here, you've got a big mistake at Rainham, Gravesend and Dartford. But some of them are more minor than others. Like the ones at Gravesend and Dartford are quite minor. So 15 miles an hour and downhill, leaving Strood. Again, I'll stop a little bit. I'd normally stop a bit earlier than that, just to let it coast up to 15. The cue I gave in the video works on South Eastern High Speed, thankfully. So you're looking for the magnet on the other track. On South Eastern High Speed, the tunnel does feel a bit darker, but I still think it's quite easy to spot. There it is, just saw it there. And now we're good for 70. If you need the cab light, you can press L on your keyboard, although the light in the 700 isn't exactly great. So yeah, I mentioned a mistake at Rainham. This is probably the biggest mistake. In that, DSD, please. There is an RLU markable just past the middle of the platform, and on the Medway Valley line that is correct. It asks you to use that one. But on South Eastern High Speed it wants you to use the FLU, the full length unit, at the end of the platform, which is 80 yards away from the correct one. I only realised this when I did a test run earlier before filming this video. Yeah, entering Higham Tunnel, you want to start braking. Again, keep it between 25 and 33%, so just below the first line on the screen. The aim is to be around 35, or anywhere between 40 and 30, leaving this tunnel. So with the Higham platform issue, if you want to stop on the RLU for realism, I've tested it and it does accept that as a stop. So if you just enjoy the simulator and points don't matter to you, then by all means use the correct marker board. Yeah, we slowed down a bit heavy there, so I'm going to ease off. So I'm actually going to use the correct marker board on this one because I'm more interested in it as a simulator. So if you are using that one, you want to be braking quite heavy. Maybe you want to be more like 25 coming into the platform, because it is rather close. Although that was a little bit too much. Again, this comes with experience. So yeah, I'll use this one for the sake of the video, and hopefully they fix it. Hopes aren't high, but you never know. They might do. Yeah, so you can clearly see that this is where 8-car units are meant to stop, including trains with 8 cars, which we have. But if you want the points, then South Eastern High Speed only requires you to stop there. Anyway, how are we doing? We are leaving at 20:30. I believe we've been here enough time, but I'll leave it. I'll do it at 25, and that should be fine. Yeah, we're good. If you hear that advancement noise, it means you're good. It means you left it enough time. If you didn't leave it enough time, again, if you're not interested in points, doesn't matter too much as far as I'm aware. Anyway, speed limit is 70 leaving Higham. I should say I've been a little bit critical of some of the details in this route, but that's only because this is my local, and I use this portion of track probably twice a week. So it's these things I notice, whereas if I lived in a different county, I almost certainly wouldn't notice these things. The first whistle board for Who Junction. If you want to play realistically, I believe the rule is low tones only, but by all means have a bit of fun with the horn. Approaching 70 now, so I'll ease off a little bit. It's all quite flat around here, so for maintenance of 70 miles an hour, I'd say you want to be between 15 and 20%, somewhere about there, and that should roughly maintain your speed. That's increasing slightly, so just give it a tap. Better to be under it than over it. So there'll be a warning board to reduce you down to 50 miles an hour as we get closer to Gravesend. There's no AWS warning for this, but it should be fairly visible. Yep, there it is there, just before the corner. Once we get to it, I'll apply a little bit of braking force, 12%. This should be the warning magnet. Yep, so the 50 restriction is on the same sign as the 30 warning board. But we'll just coast around this bend. Once we get around to Milton Road, which is this bridge, put in a little bit of braking, but really not much. The 30 board is just before the station, like 2 bridges beforehand. Again, if you're not confident, it's better to be under than over. There's nothing wrong with being late on your first few attempts. Going to give it a little bit more, I think we're approaching it. Yeah, I'm just going to increase it a bit because I misjudged that. Okay, we're fine. And minor discrepancy between the two routes here, where Southeastern High Speed wants you to stop at the very end of the platform, not actually on the marker board, whereas I believe Medway Valley Line is correct. It doesn't matter, it's a couple of points. Just going to give it a bit more braking force there. Okay, we're fine. Once you're under 10, you're fine. You aren't going to overshoot the platform. So on Medway Valley, and if you're playing realistically, you want to stop by these screens, and that's what real life trains do. But if you want the points, it wants you to stop right here, right at the end of the platform. Okay, we're departing at 29, and it's... okay, we've got 2.5 minutes, so I'll speed this up. Okay, we're 30 miles an hour, leaving Gravesend from platform 1. One thing I will say about Northfleet, and most stations after that, is on the 700 it's very difficult to be on time. I've yet to be on time to Northfleet. So just make sure the doors are open 30 seconds and don't worry about it. So remember my cue, there's not a great one, but midway between this magnet and the signal that it corresponds to should suffice. I use this shadow if it's daylight. we want to accelerate until Springhead Road, which is the big brick bridge, I guess is the best way to describe it. Then we'll brake at 33%, nice and easy. Yep, this one here. So once you hit the bridge, just kick the brakes in around a third, up to the line, and then adjust as needed to be at 30 by the platform. We stop at the end, so it's fairly lenient. Just going to ease off a little bit. Yep, we're late already. It's extremely difficult. Let's line up with these screens. And yeah, we are late because we were meant to leave at 32:30, and that's roughly when we got here. So again, just allow enough time for passengers to get off, and then shut the doors. Just got here around 30, so I'm happy to shut now. Yep, that's all good. So Swanscombe is very close to Northfleet, so we won't exceed 40 miles an hour. Gives us a really easy queue. I'll be interested to know which format you find easier to digest, whether it's with the text on screen or me just rambling as I drive. I'm trying a bit of both just to kind of hope they complement each other, but I'm open to adjusting going forward. So yeah, once these railings end, once you're over this crossover, the brake in a third. Should get you to 30 by the platform, and then we stop at the end. Yeah, we've got here 45, and we're leaving at 35. Okay, we're not that late. And then 20 seconds. 25, and I'll go now. I think I said in the tutorial for green height to not exceed 60 miles an hour, but I don't think we actually reach it. So just accelerate until the bridge that I showed in the tutorial, and I'll show again, and then apply the brake. Yep, this bridge up here, so yeah, we're not going to reach 60. But the timing should still work. Once you reach it, just put the brake in around a third, give or take. I'm going to ease off a little bit. I'll say between 25 and 33 for this. I believe we're slightly uphill as well. Yeah, between 25 and 30. But once you get down to 30 miles an hour, you can just coast. It's not a big deal, especially when you're starting out. Again, stop at the end. Are we still late? 37. And we're going. Yeah, we're late. That's fine. Just trying to time your 30 seconds. I think we've been about 20. Should be fine now. Yep. Stone crossing again, fairly close. I think I put the cap at about 45 miles an hour. Again, not a hard rule, just a rough guideline. Then we'll brake on the signal. There we go, into a third roughly. Now be a bit more cautious at Stone. Our stopping board is not at the end. It's the third set of screens, so you can just count as you go along. Got the first one here on the left. Just there. There's the second one. And this next one is ours. some reason this station doesn't have any Thameslink markers in the game, so we just use the 8. Okay, we're due to leave at 30, so we're only about 15 seconds late. I didn't know exactly what time we got here. I'll just estimate it. That was not enough time, but as I say, if realism is what you're chasing, drivers will sometimes spend 10 seconds here, and in terms of the game, I don't think it matters. Excuse the lorry outside. So I wouldn't exceed 50 miles an hour because there is a restriction coming up. There's a warning board for it there. Although bear in mind this whole stretch is uphill and then it will change on the bend to downhill. So just keep that in mind when you're adjusting your speed. I'll ease off, but I'll still hold some power because of the elevation. Is that the word? No. This heat's frying my head. There's the 50. This is where we start going downhill, roughly this magnet. Okay, there's a warning for the 40, but there's a 20 like 100 yards after it. So you have to anticipate it, and there's no warning board for it. So what I like to do, maintain 50 until this bridge. And once you get to here, go 25 to 33 as usual. You can adjust based on what you see. But as a rule, you don't want to be above 27, 28 when you hit the 40 because of how close the 20 is. Got Dartford sidings on the left here. Of course, as much as I'm giving you cues, you still have to learn the route and learn some of your own, because you could be running fast on some scenarios or ECS movements. There's the 40. And not only that, you could have adverse signals that didn't happen when I recorded. And there's the 20s roughly there. Slightly downhill coming into Dartford. Again, just keep it in mind. We stop at the end. The fourth mistake here, as I mentioned, there is an RLU and an FLU quite close together at the end, but for some reason the game wants us to use the full length unit board. Reduce speed a bit here. Yeah, so there's the RLU there, which in real life you would use. I think you'd get away with it if you did use it, but the game actually wants us to stop here. If it's minor like that, I tend to obey the game. Nice. I think actually I may have had to wait at Stone Crossing. I don't think that counted. But as I was saying, if it's quite a major deviation like at Rainham, I'd rather be realistic. I apologise for my room getting destroyed. There's a very loud breeze out there. Does that even count? Come on, show me more information. Yeah, it is an ending. So basically, if you don't hear the confirmation that all passengers have boarded and alighted, you need to open the doors again, I think. Again, it could vary between the different routes, but it isn't counting this as complete. Yeah, so for the sake of the video, it's still shown you what you need to see, but do bear that in mind. If you want the service to actually count, you need the boarding to finish. Yeah, I feel like it should be variable, like it is on the Medway Valley line. Some stations you only do need 10 seconds.
All our trains personal belongings are used
Shut up.
times. Any unattended baggage will be removed off the station premises.
Yeah, not how I anticipated ending the video, but yeah, there's a lesson not to make the same mistake I just did. I hope you enjoyed this, I hope it was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you again for the next tutorials. Bye bye.